people need their needs taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's how that's one of the ways to show God's love, is to help people, take care of their needs. I don't know if the homeless guy would ever get the message of God's love by just giving him a Bible.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Empowering Hope podcast. My name is Justin Boothby, and I am with Ray and Jeff Holte, and they are here at Casa de los Sueños, which is a sister home of Casa de Fe here in Shell, Ecuador, and they've been missionaries here for about a year and a half, And so today they're going to be talking to us a little bit about their story and what God is doing through them and how they are using their gifts to advance the kingdom of God here on earth and here at Casa de Fe / Casa de los Sueños. Do you guys do that, like Casa de Fe / Casa de los Sueños? Or
No,
you don't do the slash thing? No? Okay. All right, so why don't you guys start by telling me a little bit about your testimony? I would love to hit on your testimony, and feel free to just share what you're comfortable with sharing, but share a little bit about your testimony, because I feel like that testimony has brought you here, right? It has brought you to these girls here at Casa de los Sueños. So, yeah.
I don't know how much detail you want.
You don't
I'll
have to
keep
go
it
into a lot of
tame.
details. No. But I think it's important because it helps you relate to the girls that are here. And I think you guys say that you're unlikely missionaries. I think you guys are very likely missionaries. So.
My background is I was raised in the church. We're both from the upper Midwest, conservative Lutheran background. Very different from missionaries that we've met. It seems like most of them come from the southern states and they're very exuberant. They like to preach. We're not that way. In our church, you sit in your pew quietly and you don't really talk about your faith. You're preached to about your faith. You don't pray together. And so the vernacular does not come naturally to us. So yes, I was raised in the church, went to Sunday school, went to confirmation, and then I hit my teenage years and made some bad choices. One of them being I got pregnant when I was in high school. I was a single mom until I met Jeff, thank God. That's a story in itself. Mission work was very foreign to me. My church never did mission work. We did things locally. I didn't know any missionaries. And so even just the term missionary didn't really occur to me, even when we started talking about going out beyond our comfort zone. We didn't really feel like we were necessarily missionaries. We just felt called to serve somehow beyond our comfort zone. That we knew how blessed we'd been. And we just felt like we just had this passion to go out and do something. We started raising our children. We brought them up in a Lutheran church also, and we just lived normal lives, raising children, working, and then of course our children grew and left home, and we were always active in our church where we're from, and served in many ways, taught Sunday school, worked with the youth, sang in the choir, all those things. And still we just started having this conversation about someday, maybe when we retire, we'll venture out and see what God has for us to do. As it turns out, we received an invitation to come with a short-term mission team to Casa de Fe. And it just felt right, and so we came, and that's how we started here at Casa de Fe. Just saw what God was doing here, felt like we were really part of it, and kept wanting to come back, and here we are now full time.
Yeah, there's an old saying that every saint has a past and every sinner has a future. We are more the sinners who now are having a future. Missionaries are just normal people. They're everyday people. The life of a missionary is a lot of mundane work. we get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to cook breakfast for the kids. We make sure that they do their studies when they come home. What we're trying to do is bring these kids up in a home environment, something that they are not used to. A lot of these kids have horrendous backgrounds. Some of them don't know their parents, even though they have parents. Some of them come from abusive situations. What we're trying to give them is some stability, some sort of resemblance of a family life in a Christian atmosphere. But it's normal life. It's not glamorous, although we have pictures of toucans out of our trees and monkeys in our backyard. But it is everyday work. It is also, the song comes to mind, they'll know we're Christians by our love. That is what we try to do, is work on these kids' future, giving them a future, giving them dreams. Some of these kids never had dreams. They had no idea what to dream about, and that's what our job has been.
So one of the things that Ray said to me the other day, we were at the church just about 20 minutes away from here, and Ray had said, you said we're all missionaries, right? Or we're all called to missions, right? And I think oftentimes we get missions wrong. We think that missions has to be this big event, or it has to be a short-term missions trip, or you have to be a full-time missionary. And sometimes being called and being on mission is simply going to your next-door neighbor and saying, hey, I'm here for you. If you need anything, just Jesus loves you, Can you tell me a little bit about what it has been like making the transition? Because you guys have not been missionaries for your whole life, right? You just started 1.5 years ago. What has it been like making that transition from not being a missionary in another country to being a missionary in another country and to living here in Ecuador full time?
Life is a journey, right? And I just think that it's just a new chapter for us. As far as making the transition goes, I don't know if we're typical or not. We sold our house, and we either sold or gave away our belongings, so we're homeless anyway. and for us, it really wasn't a problem. It was liberating in a way, because we were no longer burdened by so much that North Americans find important in their lives, and maybe that's something that helped us go into the mission field. We've never really placed a lot of value on toys and that sort of thing. So, maybe that's why God's using us, or part of the reason God's using us, because He knew it might be easier to let go. The most difficult part, of course, is we're separated from family.
And you guys have 7 kids, right?
6 kids.
6 kids.
Yes. I think the hardest part is to take that original first step. And that's usually, life is not rocket science. Everything in life, well, actually, rocket science is rocket science, but everything in life is all pretty simple. What's difficult is to make those decisions, okay? The interesting thing is that once we made the decision, of course, I was working on Ray for a while, and when she finally said, yes, let's go, I said, well, now what do we do? But once the decision was made, everything fell into place. So, God thing, our house sold just right away.
About the same time as Mother had to sell her house, and it sold within days. I mean, just everything happened easily.
The hardest part was to make the decision to serve. Everything else came very easily, and I would say that God probably had a hand in that.
Yeah. We were, were you going to say it? So we were sitting out the other day. We were just taking a break, and Lauren and I saw a story about, I guess I think it's in Iran. There's like 24/7 baptisms going on, and people are lining up, and thousands of people are coming to Christ. And we were reading that story right as Jeff had come and sat down, and he's like, our life is very mundane. Our life is very routine compared to, all the other stuff that you might see in the news or what you might expect a missionary to be. And I call this the extraordinary mundane because it's mundane, but it's real life. It's real ministry with real people. It's day in, day out. You're not flying in and preaching this big old message and thousands of people will come to Christ and then you leave, right? You're doing the hard work. You're doing the incredibly hard work of doing the mundane. It's not easy to do the mundane. It is not easy to do it every day, in and out. And one of the things that I think is extraordinary about it is that it's extraordinary because they're being obedient, right? God said, go, and you went. And, you agreed to go. You kind of like Abraham, right? Abraham was told to go, and he went. And that's what you guys did, and everything else fell into place. And it's awesome to hear that your story is just falling right into place.
It's nice of you to compare us to Abraham, but we are not Abraham.
Well, it's true that that the church is a body with many different parts, and we absolutely need the preachers and the evangelists and so on.
Absolutely. Yeah.
We are not that, but we hope that we are the hands of Christ, doing the loving and just the mundane, the necessary, feet on the ground work.
Yeah.
I remember we watched a movie once called The Cardboard Boxer, and that one really struck me. And it was about a homeless guy, and he lived in a box. And not to get to the part about what the movie was about, but I remember one part in the movie, a bunch of people came to evangelize to see if they were saved, and they had Bibles, and they said, do you know Jesus Christ? And they gave this homeless person a Bible. And that night he went to his cardboard box and he used that to put his head on. Okay, so to preach is fine. Okay, but people need their needs taken care of. Okay, and that's how that's one of the ways to show God's love is to help people take care of their needs. I don't know if the homeless guy would ever get the message of God's love by just giving him a Bible.
Right.
So.
Well, and I think that's what the first church was doing. When you read through Acts, it says that there was no need among them, that everybody had what they needed. And when there was a need, somebody helped out and they pitched in, and that's sharing the love of Christ. Is it Matthew 24:25 where Jesus says, you clothed me, you fed me, and they're like, when did we see you? And Jesus is like, I tell you the truth, what you did for the least of these, you do for me. And so there is something about, I think my friend Clay said it like this, missions is not just helping people, it's also sharing Jesus. You can't do one without the other and not be a missionary. You have to meet people's needs, and you also have to share Jesus with them. And I think you guys have been doing an extraordinary job. And I know Patty Sue is sitting back there, and she's doing an extraordinary job as well. You guys have just blown Lauren and I away with the hard work that you guys put in for this place, and Patty Sue for the children, and for you guys for the girls. I mean, you guys have so much love for these girls that are here, and
and we hope that's awesome enough, because the girls in this house have so many challenges, and it's one thing to cook the food and get them their school supplies and all that, but because of their backgrounds, and the cultural challenges here and the things that they see in everyday life and that are not healthy, the emotional challenges they have of abandonment and lack of trust, and the education system is not ideal, and so it's a challenge to know that they're just a work in progress, and we just hope that we can and be a part of that.
Well, I like to think of it as building a brick house, right? Building a brick house can be, I'm sure, very, very mundane. I've never done it myself, but I'm sure it can be very mundane. You're just laying brick by brick by brick. But you know what? at the end of the day, or at the end of the time that's up, you have a beautiful house. And I think that's what you're doing with these girls, right? You're building brick by brick, day in, day out. You're laying one brick at a time, because one day these girls are going to grow and they're going to learn and they're going to be incredible women of God living in this country. And what you're doing here, what you're doing to sow into these girls, they're going to sow into other people. And I guess we're running low on time here. So is there anything else that you guys would like to say?
Just please keep us in your prayers. The girls and all that they're going through, and also for us too, to have wisdom and patience to get through each day and hopefully share God's love and let them know that they are loved unconditionally.
And people can get in contact with you on Facebook, correct?
Yes, they can.
That's the best way to get in touch with you as well?
Yep.
Okay. So I will put all their details in the comments, or in the all their details in the details below. I said that last time too. I can't believe I did that. I will put all of their details in the credits below, and you can get in touch with them. And thank you so much for watching another episode of the Empowering Hope podcast. And make sure you get in touch with Ray and Jeff, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.